Just logically, it's very unlikely that we could have this highly evolved primate. Now, there have been primates that did exist in the Americas. When Pangea existed, they split off and their ancestors evolved. I mean, we have examples of primates here, but nothing of that order. And I would love to be surprised, but I think it's incredibly unlikely. Because the truth is, you look at our country's megafauna today, our bigger animals. We don't even have any. Look at something like grizzly bears. Look at something like California condors. Every California condor has to be monitored because there's not enough habitat to sustain it. I just did a story for the Today Show on grizzly bears. We are maxed out on it. We have only 2,000 grizzly bears in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem because there's no more room in the inn. And they're spilling out, and it's just unlikely. I want to be proven wrong, though. Yes, young man. Yeah. Do lizards have any more defenses? Sure. Some lizards can lose their tails and regenerate their tails. Some lizards can fly and glide away from predation, like gliding geckos and the Draco, the gliding lizards. Some lizards are venomous, like the Gila monster, have great camouflage, like the Europlatus geckos in Madagascar. You can take a Europlatus gecko, and I've seen them actually crawl up a limb with moss, and he'll be like green like the bark, and his body goes over the moss, and the moss is round like a circle, and you'll actually see the circle of moss connect through the dermis, the skin of the lizard. It's just incredible. So lots of defenses. All right, I'm going to take 5 more questions, and I'll see you up front. Yes? What made you do the food? What made me explore extreme cuisine? Because I felt that people have lost their connection to food. People in America don't know where food comes from. We have a poor relationship with food. And it came from a conversation with my daughter, with one of her friends, who couldn't fathom that food didn't come from beyond the refrigerator. And my interest was to explore cultures where they had found sustainability with resources. And foods that weren't sensationalistic foods, but for them were everyday foods. And the whole idea is, imagine if you wake up every day and you have to try to not burn more calories than you get. You got to harvest your food, grow it, sometimes hunt it. And I wanted to explore that. You know, the idea, what if you didn't have electricity or a supermarket? And the idea where food is the glue that binds culture, gives us access to our ancestry, but really looking at foods that were sustainable and renewable. And that was sort of my own personal mission, because that's something I've done with my own family. We've done our very best to weed ourselves off supermarket, or not, we still go to supermarkets, but try to limit ourselves access to factory farmed protein. You know, that to me was our biggest goal, was to not eat products, specifically animal products, that we felt that came in a factory-produced manner. Now I have that luxury because I get paid a lot of money. I get a good paycheck and I have a good job. Many people don't have that option. So I wondered, well, what if there are poor people around the world that actually live sustainably out of necessity, because they have long-term experiences of exploiting their resources to the point of depletion? And I found it a humbling, just a really awesome experience. It totally made me rethink food. And it's still something that I think our failure to be sustainable with our resources is one of the biggest problems that we face today. Yes?
So, I think someone asked it earlier, but what are some just small, achievable steps that people can take in their day-to-day lives? Because I feel like a lot of the advice that's given on, well, you know, try and use stuff that's not, you know, drink tap water is a good example, but
you should drink tap water.
I feel like,
because it's a huge difference. I'm telling you, I get so upset when I see bottled water being used. I'm like, oh, thank you. I was invited to this green fashion show. I'm like, well, what the heck is this, you know? So she looks like, you know, the Jolly Green Giant, but we're drinking this. But that's a huge difference you can make. If you can reduce your waste, all of us, on average, produce between 5 to 8 pounds of non-biodegradable waste every day. We do it all the time. Look at the wrappers, the containers you do. You could be drinking organic whatever but if it's presented to you in a vessel that can last 2,000 years, you know, for an hour or two of energy and hydration, you know, that little thing is a big difference. This region is very, very important to our country for a number of reasons. It possesses contiguous forests, which really are the reservoirs of life for North America. What do you think are some of the most amazing creatures that live in the surrounding forests from here that you can think of? Can you think of anything here that's special?
I mean, I would go with all of it, but
salamanders and amphibians.
Yeah.
This region is like a hot zone for incredibly cool amphibians, some of which have uncertain futures now because of chytrid fungus. So, I mean, a region like this is very, very important. And issues of water quality and the surrounding habitat is incredibly important, but it really has to begin with you. In your own household, in your own dorm or apartment, wherever you live, you need to look at what you do in your life. And by making that decision to eliminate plastics and bottles is huge. Huge. Get a Brita or whatever it is filter, and you will probably reduce 2,000 bottles of water. Just you alone would reduce that. Get a permanent vessel that you can carry with you. I mean, think about it. How many bottles of water would you drink a day? 2, maybe 3, sometimes 4? Or not, you drink Diet Coke, something or other. But little change like that. What can you do in your own communities to protect your resources? It's very important to worry about tigers and rhinos. You also need to worry about the red wolf. Do you know what the red wolf is? The red wolf used to be a unique species of wolf, only found here, which is now extinct in the wilds here, but may be coming back because they're now living in the wilds and in North Carolina. Yes. I'm not a vegetarian. Are you a vegetarian? Oh, well, I think it's very good. If you want to be a vegetarian, if that's your pathway, I think you should choose it. For me, it's really about sustainability. And it's about knowing where my food comes from. And sometimes catching my own food. You know, I look at myself as an animal, as an organic life form. Yes? Oh, my favorite snake, hognose snake. Have you ever seen an eastern hognose snake? That's the neatest snake. I hope you get to see one. All right, I'll take 2 last questions. Yes, sir? What is the Memphis Zoo famous for? Is it red wolves? Black-footed? The Louisiana pine snake, Pitiophis, right? Yeah. Was that right? Pitiophis? Yeah, that's an awesome, I love, pine snakes are the one of the most beautiful, beautiful snakes you'll ever see. Anything else from anybody before we wrap it up? Yes, blue. Yeah. I mean, like animals that are going to attack me or something like that? Well, very rarely. I mean, to me, my best moments are being the fly on the wall to tell a story. You know, I've been doing this for a long time. My first series was with Disney, and then went over to Animal Planet and all that stuff. And in the beginning, it was really about the adventure and the field experience and the hands-on stuff. And from that, as I see the copycats and other people come out, I always try to evolve beyond that. So like for me, my biggest challenge now, I'm now launching a whole bunch of series projects, 3D projects, which I'm so excited about. And it's not necessarily about me being there to host them. Some of them I'll host. But a lot of it is using that technology to share the natural world in a 3D way. To me, is as exciting as the first thing I ever did on a king cobra in Thailand or a sea turtle nest or something like that. So, but, you know, I always try to be very, very careful. And for me, my favorite moments are being with the scientists when something new is discovered. or being near and seeing a condor that had lead poisoning being liberated to freedom once again. Those are the moments that I love. Any one last question? Anyone got one? Yes, sir. Purple shirt. To get involved with what?